I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the strategy room. People are buzzing about the front page story in the New York Times Sunday, analyzing presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump and his relationship with women. Already, some are pushing back on the piece, including one woman mentioned in the story as one of the businessman's ex-girlfriends who says she was misquoted. Here she is on Fox and Friends Monday.
They told me several times, and my manager several times, that it would not be a hit piece and that my story would come across the way that I was telling it, and honestly, and it absolutely was not. They did take quotes from what I said, and they put a negative connotation on it. They spun it to where it appeared negative. I did not have a negative experience with Donald Trump.
Well, joining me now with reaction are Democratic strategist Douglas Smith, and Republican strategist Robert O'Brien. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good morning,
so Robert, I want to start with you. What do you make of the New York Times piece? And then, of course, Ms. Brewer-Lane's remarks.
Well, every time there's a hit on Donald Trump, it somehow seems to inure to his benefit. I mean, we know the New York Times is not favorable to Republican candidates. They never have been. Donald Trump has weak poll numbers among women, so they hit him where they thought it would hurt. And already they've been accused by one of the interviewees of taking her comments out of context. She's come out and said that Mr. Trump was gracious on Fox and that she enjoyed her relationship with him. The other thing that was interesting about the article is it talked about the fact that 20 years ago in the construction industry, which is notoriously not considered a good industry for women executives, Mr. Trump was promoting women. So, again, I don't think this is going to have much effect on Donald Trump, just like other hit pieces on him haven't. And I think the New York Times may risk their credibility a little bit here.
Douglas, what do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting. I love the New York Times. I'm not so sure I would have taken this approach. I'm not really that concerned with the investigating they're doing on women 20 years ago. I'm far more concerned about the atrocities that Donald Trump is doing against Lady Liberty as we speak today. I mean, what I'd like to see them do is dig into the challenges and the lies that he's talking about today, the things he's going to do against the economy. What Donald Trump has done in his past and whatever he's done with his former wives. I mean, I think that's Donald Trump's issues. What I'd like to see the New York Times and other networks talking about is what Donald Trump's going to be doing to affect women today. And I think that is truly a scary story. They don't need to dig back 20 years. They just need to dig back 20 minutes to talk about some of the things he's doing. And that's where I hope we could see this discussion go.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about the past. Let's talk about some of the scary things that he's predicting for the future.
Robert, because we don't know too much about Donald Trump's sort of political skills, I mean, is it fair to dig into his personal life or any candidate's personal life like this? I mean, are these valid concerns?
Well, I think vetting to the candidates, especially candidates for president, is a legitimate activity for news organizations, and I think it's going to happen. I think for the New York Times, which lacks a little objectivity when it comes to Mr. Trump, even their nominally conservative writers like David Brooks are part of the Never Trump movement. To dig into his personal life when he was a single guy dating, I'm not sure that is the information the voters need. I also think it opens up Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, who have a somewhat checkered past when it comes to how they've both treated women, to some scrutiny. And I'm sure that's something, frankly, the Clinton campaign doesn't welcome. I don't think the Clinton campaign was probably very happy about this article because it's going to put pressure on other news agencies to do some investigation back into the 80s and 90s on the Clintons. And again, I agree with Doug. I think this is a conversation about America's future, and I don't think probably either. I don't think it helps the Times or the Clinton campaign.
Well, Douglas, do you think that this sort of opens the door, the floodgates, so to speak, against the Clintons? That if it's fair to go to Trump's relationships with women, let's bring up Clinton's as well.
I really don't think so. I mean, the reality is there's nothing new that they're going to write about that they haven't been writing about the Clintons for the last almost 30 years. What I really like to see these news organizations focus on is the just atrocious things that Donald Trump is talking about, what he is trying to roll out. I mean, we've got a long ride still to November. I get it. Everyone's trying to sell papers, trying to get headlines. What Donald Trump was doing while he was going through his multiple divorces, that's Donald Trump's business as far as I'm concerned. What I really want to hear us talking about is a little more clarity on some of these pretty crazy policies that he's been floating out there, whether it's what we're going to do about our deficit and other things. And we'll let the chips fall where they may. I think where Hillary Clinton wants to see this debate going is the future, because that's what she's running for. She's running for the next 4 years and wants to talk about that. And I think the Clinton campaign very much looks forward to a head-on with Donald Trump, talking about their very, very different views on where this country needs to go.
Yep. All right, Alan, thank you so much, Douglas, and Robert, for being here today.
Thank you, Lauren.
And for complete coverage of the 2016 election, go to foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.